Shove It, man!
Alright, Shove It Squad, welcome back to the Shove It Show. Today we're doing something completely different because we're going to watch AEW. Now that might not seem that different because I did the Idiot series where an idiot like me tries to get back into modern wrestling. But this time, we're just going to be watching AEW and I'm going to do it for 2 months and see if I like the show. If I don't like it after 2 months, it blows. Either that or I just don't like modern wrestling. I don't know and I don't care. Now I can hear some of you whining in the comments section. Yeah, I don't want to watch AEW. Well, too bad. Shut up or I'll smack you one. The fact is, there are a lot of people that like AEW and I'm glad that they're happy that they're enjoying their wrestling show. There's nothing wrong with that. So the Hawk thought, I'm going to try and get in on some of that action because I've got 3 tickets to AEW All in London. And I'm going to be giving 2 of them away in the next coming weeks. So keep watching, that's a reason to watch these reviews. Plus you get to meet the HAWK, which is probably better than going to AEW in the first place. These AEW reviews will not stop my normal schedule. I'm still going to do the Saturday, Wednesday thing. This is just an extra video, so if you don't like AEW and you don't want to watch it, just skip this video. But then maybe some of you lapsed fans like myself can try and watch these videos and try and get into AEW just like I am. These videos need to be quick for myself in order to keep up my normal schedule, which is why the HAWK is on camera today. I'm not really a camera kind of guy, I'm a bit camera shy, but I'm going to be doing it because I need something that's quick to edit, which is why you'll see my ugly mug more often than you'll see the video footage, because AEW are horrible and I don't want to get the channel smacked down. So let's turn that frown upside down and let's watch some AEW. So this show is in Canada and it appropriately starts out with the man you all know and love, Chris Jericho. He walks out looking like a mouldy bowl of gone-off custard. But the crowd absolutely love it. They're there singing their little song, and I have no idea what the song is. I don't know if the Hawk would personally fit in with these people, but sometimes you've got to have a couple of beers and you fit in better. I mean, you might have a good laugh singing a song like that, not knowing the words. It's like karaoke for the blind, you know. The story here is that Chris Jericho is on a losing streak or something, and he faces a little luchador called Commander. He makes the girls purr. They're building this as a bit of a throwback to Jericho's days in WCW where he fought the other luchadors, and Commander does dominate him in the early game. But they're saying that the reason that Jericho is losing is because he's on a losing streak, and he's in his head, and he doesn't have a clue what he's doing, so that's the reason he's losing to a geek like this. Jericho does eventually get back in the match when he counters a springboard with a smack. Unfortunately, it wasn't to the gut because it would get an extra star from the HAWK if it did. Y2J remains in control of this match for a while. The crowd aren't really that keen on Commander. They like it when he's doing flippy stuff, but he's just not really got that much charisma. He feels like a bit of a black hole. I don't know, let me know in the comments. I'm sure this guy is going to be great in the future. He's still really young, but he doesn't seem to have that connection at the moment. They fight on the outside for ages. In fact, I timed it. It was about half a minute before the referee finally decided to make a count. Someone smacked this girl with a brick. The Hawk has to keep reminding himself that I am about to go and watch these guys live in just over a month. That's madness. I never thought I'd be going to watch an AEW show. Someone in the crowd is holding up a sign that says, I hope both teams have fun. I'm not sure what the relevance of that is. I'm not an AEW fan. Someone will let me know though. Chris Jericho counters a Commander move with the double power bomb. I have not seen that move in years. It was really cool to see that again. A real throwback to the early days. Remember when that move was his finisher on the PlayStation 1 and SmackDown? Commander is clearly extremely athletic. He reminds me of Vikingo. Is there a point in having them both? In the Hawk's opinion, you might as well only have one guy who can do insane things. There's no need for 2. It gets a bit boring and then it loses its effect otherwise. He does these cool rope walks. The crowd love it, so I got no problem with it. He has the crowd in the palm of his ass, and then he botches a dive into the ring and the life almost completely comes out of the building. Then he does another dive, which Jericho counters with a coat breaker, which is also botched. I think these guys have been hanging out with Jeff Hardy smoking the wacky backy. Jericho wins the match with another counter into the Lion Tamer. Good match. I'm surprised it took Jericho so long to beat this guy, but it was a fun opener that got your attention. But Commander, maybe tone it down a little bit. Make sure you can land all that stuff before trying it. Don Callis comes out and interrupts Jericho's celebrations. He has the worst music I've ever heard in my life. Worse than Bastion Booger. Worse than JBL. Worse than Right to Censor. It sounds like someone in a field hitting a metal gate and the echo is coming across the field. That's a throwback to my younger days right there. Don Callis looks like a penis head. They show some footage of Jericho and Callis when they were little friends back in 1995. Apparently Callis wants to recruit Jericho to join his team. It goes on and on and on. I'm not sure why it's so important that it needs so much time to it. They could have said the same thing in half the amount of time. Just get a move on. Callis has always kind of soaked up screen time though, every time I've seen him. Is he the leader of the Grey Crew in disguise? That ends the first segment, and I really enjoyed it. Good stuff. Then there's some guy called Jack Perry hiding in the car from another man called Hook, which I think is Taz's son. I might be wrong though. How wacky. More Don Callis stuff. So sick of seeing this guy already. And he says he's going to be back again later tonight to cut another promo. So that'll be 3 Don Callis segments. Someone get rid of him. He's not entertaining and I don't want to see him. Can you imagine if someone was going around looking like this 20 years ago? They would be singled out and smashed in a second. Get rid of him. Anyway, there's a video package and what is coming up next filled me with joy and happiness. MJF and Adam Cole are being forced to tag team together because there was some wacky TNA tournament where you got a blind partner. MJF's taken Adam Cole to a bar, not a place you'd expect to see him. Some girls walk past, MJF wants to hit on them, Adam Cole doesn't because he's Adam Cole of course. MJF goes after them, the 4 girls look genuinely disgusted to see MJF proposals to them. MJF wants to win him over, so he asks Adam Cole what he wants to do, and instead they go to Adam Cole's basement and they go and play some video games. Now I thought I was going to hate this, and Scott Steiner would be turning in his grave as well, and he ain't even dead. But I genuinely end up loving this. They end up bonding over this video game, and it turns out they're playing the new AEW video game. So this segment accomplished 3 things. It was entertaining, it advertised the new video game, and it pushed a storyline along. Great! This is one of the best things I've seen on telly in a while. Keep it going. Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy will team up as part of that wacky tag team tournament that I mentioned earlier. There's one woman in the crowd frantically bouncing her boobs around like this. Like, she's going like this. I think she wants to go and sit on Orange Cassidy's orange face. I hope that young lady's wishes came true. Anyway, they take on Daniel Garcia and Sammy Guevara, who I believe are Chris Jericho's sons. There's a lot of sons going on in this company. I can't even afford to have a kid. The crowd still love Pocket's acts. It hasn't got stale with them, believe it or not, so big props for that, no issues with it whatsoever. Darby Allin is a bit of a guilty pleasure of mine, see, it's not just that woman in the crowd. I like the fact that he's small, but all his moves connect 100%. It's like he uses every single ounce of his body weight because he has to. And it makes the moves look so damn cool. On the other hand, Daniel Garcia, not really feeling him. He doesn't look like an athlete, at the same time he doesn't look cool either, so why is he on my telly? Orange Cassidy ends up getting isolated for ages. Not enjoying this one at all. Cassidy and Darby Allin are 2 very small men, and that is not what I'm picking fault with here, believe it or not. My fault with it is when you have these 2 small wrestlers going at it with people, they should be the underdogs. You got 2 small guys, 2 big guys. That's a story, isn't it? That's a story in wrestling as old as time. But no, instead, all 4 of these guys are about the same height. So there is no underdog story, and it just feels kind of pointless. And honestly, I don't want to be like that because this is something I'm going to have to do for the next couple of months, and I'm going to have to learn to accept it. So maybe this is the old me, just sort of getting used to things. We end up having a tug of war over a skateboard, then there's interference, then Sammy Guevara wins the match. Wrong team won in my opinion. Next up is a hype package for 18-year-old Nick Wayne. Never heard of him. He lives in a trap house. But then it gets serious because apparently his dad died when he was young and he's doing this wrestling business in memory of his father. In the back once again, Adam Cole is trying to be persuaded not to trust MJF. Then MJF sends him a text saying he's going to have to bail on this match tonight because he's feeling sick. Great. And into that tag team tournament match we go. Oh wow, it's Big Cass. Oh wow, it's Brian Cage. 2 guys right here who have unfulfilled potential. I didn't even realise they were doing anything in AEW. And then it turns out that MJF hasn't bailed on the match and he's here with Adam Cole. And it's here that I realised something. I was supposed to pause the video at this point and record some footage. But I found myself struggling to do that because I genuinely wanted to carry on watching the video and find out where this MJF Adam Cole thing goes. So what does that tell you? It tells you that I'm actually enjoying it. Random point of note, Adam Cole's theme music is by far the best theme music on this entire show. This shows that AEW needs to do a better job with their music composures because there's nothing memorable about anything else I heard. It was turd. Cole and MJF have matching shirts, which is quite endearing really. They're doing this thing where MJF keeps trying to body slam Cass, but then he gets scared, dubs his nappy of fear, runs away. But he does eventually come back, and he ends up being the one to get isolated rather than Adam Cole. They also have this one moment where Adam Cole does push-ups. I know some of you probably doubted he could do a push-up, but there you go, there's the proof. So it starts as a comedy match, but then it gets dead serious. Big Cass is being a dick. The heels dominate until this one moment where Cass starts wiping the shirt on his ass, which fires MJF up and he starts his comeback. I love this match, it's funny. And then, the biggest moment of probably the entire show, a body slam. I'm not underestimating this body slam though. MJF hits the body slam on Cass and the crowd literally fly out their seats like, bang! They go absolutely berserk for this body slam. So it shows these guys did a good job if they can get such a big reaction off something as simple as a body slam. They're also teasing the double clothesline throughout the entire match. The crowd are chanting double clothesline, but they don't get to see it, unfortunately. Another cool moment is Brian Cage throwing both guys at the same time. Good to see he's still capable of doing that. But ultimately, it's just not enough. And the two best friends work together and they beat Brian Cage. Potential still unfulfilled. We also get a promo after the match, which isn't bad. I'm enjoying these guys together, so any more content's great. They basically say they're going to become the tag team champions. MJF also has time to plug the new shirt that they're selling because we're better than you, baby. In the back, Chris Jericho talks to Jack Swagger, who still exists for some reason. He's wearing a goofy bucket hat, but he wants Jericho to make a decision on what team he's going to be with. Then he hands Jericho the bucket hat, who looks in disgust like the hat is full of nits. Women's matchup is Ruby Soho, who looks like a human parakeet, and she takes on Sky Blue, who gets zero crowd reaction. Talking of zero, I have zero interest in this match. I don't want to watch this girl flap around the ring. There's actually only 1 point of interest. Well, actually, scratch that. Make that 2 points of interest. Reminds me of that Shoreline Mafia song. Ruby Soho wins it after she manages a counter off Sky Blue's top rope attack. Crowd barely cared, it was boring. Randomly now, a girl is rapping and twerking. Reminds me of Iggy Azalea. It was good. More entertaining than that parrot face anyway. The main event is Swerve Strickland. More horrible music. What is going on with this show? Sort it out, AEW. And Swerve Strickland will be taking on that little kid from earlier, 18-year-old Nick Wayne, who makes the girls complain. He makes a big deal out of how he's only doing this for his dad who's up in heaven. Again, that's something that's quite heart-touching. But I have a big problem with this. Why is he here? Who is he? How has he suddenly got a spot in the main event? He doesn't look like an athlete. How is he here? Why is he here? It doesn't seem like there's any reason for him to be here other than the fact that Darby Allin trained him. Which reeks of jobs for the boys. It's not what you know, it's who you know. I'm not trying to be a dick, I just don't think he should be in the main event. Anyway, Nick Wayne's good in the ring and he's dominating. He does a hurricanrana off the apron. Strickland responds with a neck breaker to him whilst he's hanging out the ring and he smashes into the floor. Not seen that before. There's a bit of a botch on a stunner from Nick Wayne. Still have no idea why he's in the main event. Darby Allin comes out to remind us why he's in the main event. It works and Wayne wins with a reverse rana and a diving cutter. Wait, no he didn't. Or at least I think he did, but no, Swerve Strickland gets his foot under the ropes. Swerve ends up powerbombing him from the top and kneeing him in the head, but that doesn't end it either. But then Strickland just wins anyway with a driver. It wasn't a bad match at all. It just did not, in any circumstances, feel like this was the main event of the second biggest company in the US. It wasn't. You can argue with me all you like. I'd have no problem if this match went on first, but last? Someone give these guys a blast. It just doesn't give me much faith in the AEW management if they think that this is the main event. Oh no. Don Callis is back with his horrible music. Someone remind him to shut the gate on his big meatball head. He's just out here to say who his remaining team member's going to be for the match next week. But before he can do that, Kenny Omega comes out, but then Kenny Omega gets jumped by Take Shitter and some other guy. But then Pac comes out and he jumps Kenny Omega. Pac is going to be the last guy on the team. They look to Pillmanize Kenny Omega, who starts screaming, "Look at the Titantron, look at the Titantron." He wants to reveal who the final member of the team will be, and it turns out to be some random Japanese wrestler I've never heard. It turns out to be Ibushi or something. I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know. Adam Page and the Young Bucks clear the ring, and they say that they'll win the big cage match next week, and that's how the show ends. Final thoughts. MJF and Adam Cole were excellent. I cannot debate that. I loved everything they were involved with on the show. Great, real highlight. And in retrospect, I really liked that Chris Jericho opener. It was a lot of fun. It didn't seem like it at the time, but as it went on, I loved it. It didn't shove. Unfortunately, everything else the Hawk didn't enjoy too much. There's just too many small guys on this show. If you just had Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin do the underdog tag team match, and they were the only guys that size on the show, I'd say great. Wrestling works best when you have a variety of sizes. No one's going to change my mind on that. It gets repetitive seeing the same small guys come out time and time again. And I'm not trying to be a dick, I am trying to change my way of thinking about how I view wrestlers and their size. But it was overkill, you can't tell me it wasn't. And the Hawk is not a WWE fan before some of you get at me in the comments. I have no affiliation to any wrestling company. I just watched it and reviewed it. Hey presto, it's a brick to your brain. Not everyone on the internet is here on some forums bashing away at themselves trying to talk about how their wrestling company is the best. Some people have a life. Well, not me. I make YouTube videos. I'm looking forward to the London show. It's going to be a lot of fun. 75,000 tickets sold. That is a lot of tickets. The show is going to be insane. The Hawk couldn't call himself a wrestling fan if I didn't go to this show. Keep watching this series for the special AEW in London ticket giveaway. And if you don't agree with that, say, don't spray.